Alright, what is going on, Makers Music School? Today we're going to talk about stereo imaging, but if you're new here and you're watching this on YouTube, this is a free portion of my course that I have on Skool.com. It's in the description, and there's a lot more in-depth knowledge there. So if you like this video, you should check that out. It's super cheap right now. That's all I got. Let's get right into it. First thing we need to explain is our stereo field. So if we have two speakers, we're speaking in stereo, right? And this is showing full mono, right? Perfect. Line down the middle is mono. If I play just my drums right now, you can see they're kind of stereo, but not very stereo. That's good. We want our drums and our bass elements, like our kick especially, to be pretty mono. But I'm going to switch that back to full mono so we can talk about expanding this. Essentially, any difference between our left and right ear in our headphones on our speakers is going to create stereo width, right? And that's awesome because that's how we get those big full sounding mixes that you might be struggling to achieve when you hop into the car. You're like, wow, this doesn't sound as good, because in the studio on your monitors, everything sounds good. Especially when you're starting out with mixing, you hop in the car, you're like, wow, this sounds garbage. Stereo width is the best, fastest, easiest way to fix that. And then you can start worrying about other important stuffs like phase and all that. But that's a much later skill that you need to learn, in my opinion. Yeah. So if we play this right now, I have all my elements fully in mono. Just got that line up the middle. So how do we make this wider? There's a couple ways we could do it. I have this keyboard as our main. So maybe I want to add another instrument to our mix. If we find something with a similar timbre, I believe is how you say it. Let's say a keyboard, maybe we get one that's a guitar. That'd be cool. Whoa. Not that guitar. Yeah, that could work. Keyboard and guitar. Timbre is essentially like the EQ range that it's most present in. That's how I think of it, at least. So if we have a keyboard that's going to be pretty present in up here. Where's my monitoring? Why is it not showing? There we go. So yeah, that's about a keyboard versus a guitar. Let's copy this down. About the same spot. But look at what we've done with these. Is we've panned them so the keyboard is fully in my left ear, the guitar is fully in my right ear. And look what this does to our stereo image. It's big. Versus just in the middle, it doesn't sound any good at all. So that's a really cool way you can do that. And you can fill out this whole stereo field. Say I want to pull in some other instruments. Like I like to keep my similar timbres balanced so I can easily achieve a good symmetrical mix in most cases. But let's say I want to throw in some violins and flutes or something. Okay, maybe I'll put the violins and flutes at like 30% pan. Then we can have them less wide. Or even if I just want a less wide image out of these two. Because maybe I'll get that full width with like background vocals, or I really like strings to just fill in a song. But this is one way you can achieve that very well. Cool. Now let's go back to what we had here. And I want to talk about the Haas effect. So the Haas effect is going to be if our ears perceive a difference in the left and right ear, it will register as louder. So that's why what we just did works. But in the same regard, I can do that for perhaps the same instrument. Like, what if I were to make this second keyboard? So if we have Whirly Modern 1, Whirly Modern 2, what if I have Whirly Modern 2 come in 10 ms later? You get here by pressing I in Logic. And then FL, there's a little clock thing down here you can click. It'll do the same thing. But okay, right, we have to actually pan it. So if I don't have this delay, if I just have it set back to 0, this is going to register as a mono signal. Because we're hearing exactly the same thing in both ears. But if I take this delay now, put it on 2, 10 milliseconds, now we got the same thing, that big wide image we were just talking about. Perfect. Okay, there's another way we can do that that's not just delay. What if we set this back to 0? We go into here, and then we make some slight, adjustments with the pitch. So I can turn this down, not even that much. I generally will do this with the pitch shifter plugin. I think it's just a better way to do it. Okay, yeah, let's put this down, maybe 1 semitone. I'd prefer to go half a semitone, but I can't seem to do that with this, and I'm not super familiar with Logic's plugins. And FL, I know you can. Oh, there we go. Perfect. Okay, so let's take Whirly 1 and put it up barely. 11 cents, not even a half a note. And this way we're gonna go Whirly, okay. Whirly 2 is up 11 cents. Whirly 1 is down 11 cents. So this is not gonna register to our ears as the piano being out of tune per se, but it's gonna do that same thing with the stereo width. Cool, right? And obviously the more I go, maybe I go to a half of a note, a whole 50 cents. This might not sound very good, but we'll see. Yeah. Maybe you can find an application for that. I would keep this minimal if you were to try it. But that works very well for me. 5. Okay, what if we pop the delay on too? So why not? We can use these things together. 5 milliseconds of delay. Cool. Now we got a really wide image. Another thing we can do is slight EQ differences. Maybe I pull this up at 2K here. Pull this down at 2K here. That'll also, let's turn everything off again. Give us some stereo width. Not as much, but that lets you control, maybe if you just want the stereo width in the upper range, you know? You could do something like that. So, fun stuff to play around with. Lots of fun stuff to play around with. Turn it back, everything on again. Now, I want to talk about this plugin here that we've been looking at the whole time. This is Ozone Imager. It's a free plugin. It's awesome. There is a paid version that's a little better, but this is incredible for getting started. I will say, honestly, incredible for if you're good at what you're doing. Like, I use this on, I think, almost every single one of the 61 songs I have out now. So, yeah, stopped using it for a few releases, and I'm like, wow, what the hell was I doing? Regardless, this lets you do that stereo shift all in one plugin. So say we get rid of this guy completely. There we go. Whirly Modern 2. We don't even want that anymore. So yeah, now let's delete our shift here. Just go to this sample of Ozone. And this one is on the master bus, or mix bus, stereo out, whatever we want to call it. This is the last one before going to the master channel. But this one is just on our instrument channel. So, say I want to do that stereo thing that I was talking about. Instead of putting the delay over here, we can do it within this application, this plugin. Nothing. Cool, now I got some width. Not quite as much, but that's alright. Can switch to mode 2. This should give us more, I think. No. But we can also play with width here. So say I have something that's maybe too wide, I can make it mono. Make it big and mono. Cool. Another plugin, this one's more for vocals, but vocal doubler. This one's also free. This you just got to be careful with. So separation, by pulling it up and down, is same as this stereoize knob. Variation is going to be like pitch, timing. Yeah, so this one you have to be relatively careful with, per se. Because this can create some phase problems. Like, this sounds relatively phasey to me. There we go. It's because you're running Ozone widened into this. All right. So be careful with this. Be careful with this. If you apply too much widening to your track, it can cause issues in mono. No one really ever listens in mono, but it's good to have a decent mono mix at least. Yeah. Plugins, that's all I got. And then I want to kind of go over full application super simply. The best way to do this conceptually is to have your panning and your layers done in your mix state. And then in most cases, the way that I use Imager is I'm going to use this on my stereo out during mastering. So maybe I'll have like my compressor. What's the one I use? Nova. TDR. Oh, yeah. This one. So I'll have my compressor taking out a few dB. And then I'll have this on my master channel instead of individually on the instruments, because I don't think it sounds as good that way. But yeah, turn that up a little bit. One thing you want to look out for, if it is causing those mono issues, see if we can get it to do it. No. Bass maybe. It will come up with like red around here. So if you're seeing red, turn your width down a little bit. I guess this kind of sample track that I made doesn't have enough instrumentation going on to cause any issues. But if you're working like with 90 tracks or whatever, like my average project now has over 120 tracks. So, you know, that you're going to see some red if you over stereoize it. So, just be careful of that. That's all I got to say, really. What's that? 15 minutes, and we fully went over stereo imaging. That's pretty cool. All right. So we'll probably talk about this more in the future, but I think for the purposes of this course, I think it's pretty solid. Just remember to pan, create your stereo field in mix, and then play with width at the end, I think is my best advice. Will give you the best results. That's all I know. I'll see you in the next one. If you're not in the community, check it out. Again, cheapest it will ever be. If you lock in now, you keep that price forever. Other than that, hope you enjoyed. Love you. Bye.